Hi, this is Smash Rundown. If you enjoy movie reviews and trailer reactions, you're in the right place. So why not subscribe and hit the like button down below.
On this Throwback Thursday, we're going to be continuing on with number 93. We're going to be reviewing Paths of Glory. Paths of Glory is a 1957 anti-war film written and directed by Stanley Kubrick, starring Kirk Douglas as Colonel Dax, Ralph Meeker as Corporal Paris, Adolphe Menjou as General Bullard.
Paths of Glory is set during the events of World War I and follows a French regiment and their failed attempt at gaining Anthill. It was a suicide mission essentially. We follow Colonel Dax, a successful lawyer before the war, as he leads his men into no man's land during the attack and then defends his men against the pride and fury of the generals above him, as 3 of his men are tried for cowardice.
So looking at the good. Obviously, it's a Stanley Kubrick movie. The good's going to be the directing. He is so meticulous with every single scene. A good example of this is at the end of the trial, the prosecutor's giving his summation, and we see him through the perspective of the prosecutors. The camera basically shifts between the prosecutors.
And judges.
Yes. And then when Kirk Douglas is giving his summation, we see it from the perspective of the accused. So it's a nice shift of who each person is basically fighting for. And I think just subtle things like that really aid the storytelling so much.
The acting was also really good, especially Kirk Douglas. He did an amazing job and you really felt for the character.
Yeah.
And you were rooting for him the whole time. One of my favorite pieces is when he makes one of the subordinates account for his actions and his choice.
Yeah.
In a very real way. And I think that's the best punishment he could give under the circumstances.
The film also does a really good job of juxtaposing the personalities of Kirk Douglas and the general above him. The general above him is basically told, you need to engage in the suicide mission. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it. My men are too important for that. Then his superior says, but if you do, there's promotion in your future and it's going to look good. So he does it. So he goes to Kirk Douglas and he orders the attack. At the end of the movie, Kirk Douglas is approached and offered the same promotion under very similar terms. And instead of saying, oh yes, I want that glory, he's, no, I will not, it's not right by my men. So it just shows the characters very well, how the one's willing to give up his men for perceived glory and the other chooses the path of glory to save his men. Therefore, the name of the film is actually pretty apt. Paths of Glory.
The paths aren't necessarily all the same.
Yes.
You can choose what your glory is, essentially. And it doesn't have to be the prestige and love of everyone else around you. It can just be doing what you think is right and standing by the people that look up to you. Towards the end of the movie, there's this lovely scene where there's a German woman that they've captured. And the men in the bar goading her and eventually encourage her to sing a song. And I think that was probably the most emotion we saw in the movie.
Yeah.
In terms of the whole regimen altogether. Because she starts singing and they really start crying. And I don't know exactly why, but for me I think there could be a few possibilities. I think one of them could be that they've now realized that, you know, the people they're killing are also humans, because she's now humanizing them by connecting with them, by singing with this beautiful voice. And they're like, oh no, the people we're killing are actually people, you know, not things. I think alternatively, or as well as, it's part also of them realizing and actually having that moment of, crap, I'm probably not going to go home. We're probably going to die. Never going to see my wife, my family, my friends, my mom ever again. And the sad realization that they're still doomed to go on the suicide mission. I just think her singing actually allows them to sit with that thought and that realization, which is quite touching.
The film does a great job in showing the horrors of war. It's not the Saving Private Ryan or the modern war movies where you see body parts everywhere and the horrors are shown like that. You see the soldiers dropping like flies, and even though there's no blood, there's no guts, it's still quite horrific. And it's black and white and it's high impact, even though it's simplistic in how it presents it to us.
And I think that takes us to the bad, because I think a lot of people might not like the movie or might be hesitant to watch the movie because it's in black and white. Yeah. And yes, in the beginning, you kind of realize it's kind of weird watching black and white movies. But later on, especially in the trenches, you do not miss the color at all. It actually emphasizes what's happening so much more because of the black and whiteness.
Yeah.
Everything is so contrasted. I like the fact that it didn't have color in that piece, because I think it just made it more alive.
Yes.
If that makes sense. And after that scene, I kind of forgot the movie was in black and white anyway, so I don't think the movie being black and white hinders it at all.
Another reason why people might not like it, the end is really horrifying. It's not a happy, feel-good movie at all. You sit there and like, war is horrid, and people are horrid. And the things people do for glory, and it's just horrid.
But I think it's nice because it allows you to introspect and reflect on the horrible things that happen during war times. And maybe allows people to appreciate that they're not in war and that they haven't been forced to go onto battlefields and kill people and be killed and watch all your friends die. In one point, they even show one of the soldiers who's actually got PTSD. I think they called it shell shock back then.
Yeah.
Basically PTSD. And this general, the mean one, is like screaming at him like, no, get together. You're such a coward. Just leave because I don't want you to infect the rest of the men. And it's like, wow, absolutely no compassion for the men at that stage.
Yes.
And no recognition of what the horrors of war can do to people.
And in saying all of that, I don't think I'd change a thing in the movie because it's perfect as it is, actually. A happy ending would not have worked.
No, because I think it would have detracted from what they were trying to show people.
Yeah. So overall, definitely an anti-war film and definitely worth watching.
I was quite surprised because it was less blowing people up than I expected and a little bit more courtroomy in some places. And they focused so much on the actual people in the war and the people that were court-martialed that you get to empathize with them and you feel really bad at what happens to them. So I was surprised. I don't generally like war movies.
But it was more of a character exploration than a war movie. So yeah.
I think because of that, I'll give it a 7.5.
And I'm going to give it an 8.5.
So that leaves it with an average of 8, which is pretty good, especially because I don't think either one of us were looking forward to watching this.
No. But like with all the movies on this list so far, wasn't looking forward to it, ended up really enjoying it.
No, I haven't enjoyed some of them. But this one I did. It's one of those movies where even if you feel like being distracted because you're not sure you're going to enjoy it, it pulls you in and you end up really focusing on it and watching it because there's so many nuancy things that happen and the dialogue is so important that you actually want to watch and not miss anything.
Yes.
So just in terms of who will enjoy it, I think anyone who wants to get some information on war, get an idea of what it's like, people who enjoy war movies or courtroom movies might enjoy this. I think in general it was just a really well-made movie. So anyone who enjoys movies will probably enjoy this.
Let us know in the comments down below. What's your favorite Kirk Douglas film?
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're on our way to 100 subscribers, so please help us out. Bye.
Later.